Jai Hind everyone. My name is Pooja Pandey and I'm assistant professor in the MCA department in AKG, Ghaziabad. And today I'm going to discuss the topic routing algorithm, in which I'm going to discuss two types of the algorithms. And you can say two types of the routing algorithms. And this topic is mainly covering in the subject computer networks. Its code is according to the university norms. Its code is BMC 303, and it comes under the topic that is your unit chapter unit 3, right? So when we are discussing about the routing algorithm, or you can say the hierarchical routing in the large network, but first we should know that what do you mean by the routing. Routing means that we are finding out the path, how our data is traveling from source to the destination, right? So when we are talking in terms of the networks, or when we are talking in terms of the computer networks, when the data are transferred, basically in network layer, we work on the packets are transferred, right? And router is there. So when we are discussing about the hierarchical routing, or when we are discussing about the large network, we face a common problem, that for each, as a network grows, we say that our routing table also increase, right? Is Before this hierarchical routing, you should all have the knowledge of the link state routing. You should also have the knowledge of DSVR, Dijkstra algorithm. When you have the knowledge, then only you can understand that what do you mean by the hierarchical routing in the large networks when we are talking about this topic. So as a network grows, our routing table also grow proportionally. Okay, as you say that if as it is exceeding, as it is becoming a large, our routing table is also increasing. The size of the routing table is also increasing. As our routing table increases, which may lead to many problems we can face. First most problem is that as the routing table is growing, our memory consumption is also increased. The memory consumption of, you can say, the router, the memory consumption of the router memory is also increased. And because of that, you can say that, and where in the router memory we always store more route entries, so which sometime it is not good for our networks, right? So when the routing table is growing, we take more CPU time is needed to search and process the large routing tables, right? When the CPU time is, we are taking the more CPU time, then it means that more bandwidth is required to exchange the routing updates and maintain the table, right? So we, in these lines or in this topic, we clearly see that as the network grows, our routing table grows proportionally, and with that the three major things are happening. The first one is your routing memory consumption. Second is your CPU time is exceeded, right? Third is your, if the CPU time is you can say, if your CPU time is increased, the bandwidth is also required, right? The more bandwidth is required. So you can say this lead to the three main problems, and because of these three, the routing table, we use the hierarchical routing to manage the large network efficiently. So for managing the large network, we mainly use the hierarchical routing. Now, when we are going to understand the concept of the hierarchical routing, mainly the hierarchical routing is based on the divide and conquer strategy. It means divide the area, or you divide the split into the different regions and then work on that regions, right? For example, if there are 72, or you say the 42 routers are there, 42 routers, so we are just splitting that network into different regions, and then we are connecting, or you can say we are using that region to work or to make the routing table. For that, what we are doing, that in each router in a given region only knows the details of the routers within own domain and its neighboring routers. For example, if this is a region 1, if you say this is region 1 and it has got the 3 routers, if you say this is A, B and C, right? So these 3 routers are knowing the information of this region, and plus if you are saying that they are information, for example, this A router knows the information of B and the C because they are the neighboring routers, right? And plus these three routers, you say that they all know the knowledge about this region. They are not they don't have any knowledge about the other region, if you say. So this is the meaning that each router in a given region only knows the details about the routers, right? Now, if I am saying that it knows the details about its neighbors, it means that in the hierarchical routing, the routers are classified into the groups, and that groups are called the region. For means this is a region 1 and this is region 2. So both are connected with the one of the routers. If you say these connected, let us suppose that it is a D. So this B region 1 and region 2 is connected. There is a connection between the B and the D. So we are using the line B here, right? Now, routers mainly save just one record in their table for the other region, right? And the size and the complexity of the routing table. We will discuss all these things. Again, I am repeating that each router holds information only about the routers in its region, right? Now, it has no details about the other region, other router of the, or you can say other routers in the other region. They don't have any information. It means that A, B, C don't have the information about the D, E, F. Right? Because they belong to the other region. Now, these routers save only the record of their table in every other region. So, it reduces the size and the complexity of the routing table. Right? Now, when we are we can understand this routing, hierarchical routing with this clear picture. For example, let us come to the figure A, that how it is happening, or how we are working on the region A. This is, you say these are the routers 1A, 1B, 1C. They are the three routers that are available in the region. You say they are available in the region 1. Now, in the region 2, it is 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D. Likewise, in the region 3, region 4 and region 5, various routers are there, and we have mentioned that routers by, you say we have mentioned that router by the region, by their region name, right? So, I think this diagram is clear to all. Now, when we are creating the table for each router, you say, when we are creating the table for this region 1, region 2 and region 3, 4, 5 respectively, we see we are now creating a full table for the 1A. Now, 1A means that this one. Now, assume that now when we are working on the structure of the hierarchical routing, let us assume that what we are facing the problem previously before the hierarchical routing, when we are working on the large network, right? So, this is a large network in the diagram, right? So, if we see, I see that I am going to make the full table, I am going to make the full table of 1A, right? So, 1A, the destination, what I am taking the things in the, for making the full table of the 1A. First is your destination, second is your line, and third is your hub. How many router is jumping from one place? The message packets are hopping, or you say packets are traveling from one router to the another router, right? So, for 1A, if you see that we are not, it is a itself. So the line, it is not using any line. So, we are placing the line as a dash, right? Hop, where it is traveling, it is not traveling anywhere. That is why we are using the hop as a blank, right? Now, clearly see how we are making the table. First most, we let us assume that each jump when we are saying that in 1A and 1B there is a 1, 1B and 1C it is traveling 1, right? And 1B to 2A it is 1. Then this all the connected by the one data packet. You can say it is speed is 1, or you can say it is a hop of 1. Okay, right. This will help why I am using the 1 here. I will explain the packets or hop here. So, if you see the diagram clearly, or the table of the 1A, that is, if 1A is traveling to 1B, so how much time or how much jump it is taking? It is taking one jump. That's why we have written the 1 here, right? And how much, where is the destination? It is 1B, okay? And what line it is 1A is using? It is using the line this one, right? So if it is using the line this one, so if you say that it is using the line, if it is using the line from 1A to 1B, it means that it is using the line here. So that's why I am writing here 1B. Right. Now for 1C, it is very simple. Likewise in the 1A, it is very simple. In 1A, from 1A, it is traveling to 1C. The destination is 1C. Right. So line will be, what line it is facing? It is facing, you say that it is 1C. And how many hop? Again it is 1 hop. Right. Now if you see, all these reason has been covered in this table. All these three reason A, reason 1 has been covered. Now we are taking in the reason 2. For when we are making a long table, when we are working on the full table of one router, right? We are not using for each end router. We are working only for the table for the 1A. Remember that. So reason 1 and reason 2 is connected by, how it is connected? It is connected by the 1B router and the 2A router. So from 1A, what the path they will take? It will take from 1A to 1B, 1B to 2A. So it is here 1, here it is 1, it is 2. So the hops, it is taking 1 and the 2. That is why we are writing here 2. And at what line it is going to follow? It is going to follow the line. Here it is 1B. Right. Now for the 2B, again the position is same. You see that 1, 2 and 3. The line is 3, and what line we are using? We are using again this 1B. Right. Now for the 2B, so if you see that for 2A and 2A, 2B and 2C, this is 3 and 3, same. Now when we are working on the 2D, right? So what will be for the 2D? For 2D, it will be the 4. Why? 1, 2, 3 and this 4. So it is a 4 minimum. Okay. This you have to see. Now you have to clearly see this one, right? 2, 3, 3, 4. And which is the minimum? Minimum is the 2. Remember that part. Now, if you see for the 3A, if I am calculating for the 3A, what is a connecting node? That is a 1C is a connecting node, right? For till 3A, if I say it is a, you can say from 1A, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. That is why for 1A to 3A, how much distance they have taken? They have taken the 3 distance. For 3B, they have taken the distance 1, 2 and 3. So that is, they have taken 1 and 2. Therefore, it is 2. Then for 4A, for the other reason, same we are going the process. If you count from this diagram, then from say for the reason 4 and the reason 5, if you say that 4B, 4BC, we are taking like this, 3, 4 and 4. And for 5B, 5C, 5D and 5B, you see that here it is 4, 5, 5. So for 5E, how much they have taken? For 5E, they have taken the maximum is 6 and last is your 5, right? Now, this is a full table of the 1A. Now, let us suppose that if we have a large reasons, we have many reasons. Here it is only a 5 reason. Let us suppose that we have got the 75 reasons or 70 reasons we have. Then how much, can you think that how much full table we have to create and how much complexity it will be increasing? So that's why we are working on the hierarchical. We came on the concept of the hierarchical table for the 1A. Initially, we are seeing that for the reason 1, only 3 routers are given. So, we have taken the 3 routers and it is very simple, right? Because they both have the first one don't have any hop. They are not jumping. And for 1B and for 1C, you see that the 1 is there, right? It means that how much hop they are doing? They are hopping only one time, right? Or you can say how much distance covered from 1A to 1B or 1C, it is 1, right? Now, but when we are working, now see, there is a trick here. For 2, How they have taken the hop 2? Why? Because if you see, we always follow the shortest path, right? We always go for the shortest path. So in this reason, if you see from 2A, 2B, 2C and 2D, what is the 4 parts if you say? Here it is a 2, right? Here it is 2. What is a minimum? Minimum is a 2, right? For 3, if you are talking about, when we are talking about the third reason, in the third reason, we are using these two, and which is a minimum? This is minimum, 3B and this. That's why we have taken 3. From 3 we have taken 3 here, 1C and the 2, right? That's what we are taking. Now, for the reason 4, what we have taken for 4B, 4A and 4C, if you see here, which is the minimum part, this is 3. So, what we are taking? 4A, 1C and 3. For the fifth, what is the minimum if you say? For fifth, it is a 4th, right? So, fifth is your 4th. So, now, if you see, here it is a 17. Count, if you count from 1A to 5A, it is a 17th, right? 17 destination or 17 routers you have to travel. And what we have done, we have just minimized it by using the hierarchical table here. We have minimized this to our, you can say this number of destinations only. So, our table has been short. Now, in the same terms, we can make the hierarchical table for 1A. Same way we can make the table of the 1B and 1C, but where the number of steps has been reduced. Now, because of this, we can easily manage our networks, right? So, what is the advantages of the hierarchical routing? When we are working on the table, we have found out that what is the advantages of the hierarchical routing. The first one is that it significantly reduces the routing table. So, when the routing table size is reduced, it is connected. You see that when the routing table size is reduced, its router memory is also minimized, right? Its CPU usage and the router memory is also minimized. So, when it is minimized, it means the bandwidth is also in the control way. Now, if you see that it reduces the routing update traffic between the routers, because if you are managing the large network and we are dividing it into the sub parts, or you can say in the hierarchical routing, then it will reduce your traffic update because we have to travel to the minimum routers, right? So, it improves the scalability of the larger network. And it also simplifies the network management and the troubleshooting, because if we are taking a 17 routers exactly, it is very tough to find out where the problem is there, right? If any problem is coming in when we are sending our data. But when we are working on the hierarchical table, we are dividing all the routers into according to the regions. So, we can easily find out that, for example, if you see that in this previous table, we see if we have to find out the table, if I am saying it is in the fourth one. So, I know that fourth means that in the fourth region there is a problem. So, we are not touching the other regions, right? But when we are taking all these 17 routers collectively, we will find that it is a very large term. So, we will unable to find out any problem in this table. But when we are using this table, it is easily to find out the problems here, right? And we can easily clear our problem also. So, that is the advantages of the hierarchical routing. And when we are talking about the disadvantages of the hierarchical routing, see, the first one is your suboptimal routing. It means that packets take the longer path through the multiple levels for the multiples. For example, if you see here, it is taking a multiple path. They are taking from A to B, from here, then here it is traveling this. So, they are taking a multiple path. So, there will be a delay in the packets, right? There in the delay. Now, if you see how the regions are divided, we can easily find out that the design is very complex, right? So, there are the complex configuration. You say that designing and managing the hierarchical level is difficult and it is time consuming. Now, when we are talking about the slower convergence, it means that update takes the longer way because it is divided into the hierarchy. So updates starting from first position to the last position, it is following the hierarchy, so it will take a longer time, right? The load imbalance is also, there is a load imbalance. It means that higher level routers become overloaded with routing information. Now, single point of a failure of a higher level router can affect the entire region below it. So these are the disadvantages of the hierarchical routing. Now we are coming on the second most, that is your broadcast routing. What do you mean by the broadcast routing? It means that sending a packet to all the hosts or all the hosts in the network at the same time is called as a broadcasting, right? We always see the broadcasting method when we are doing a live show, when we are taking the application like the weather updates, or for the stock market information, or what I have discussed, that your live show or the live radio streams, we are using broadcasting. Simply, sender is broadcasting its message to the receiver, everything at the one speed. They are not taking the what packets I have to say, they are sending all the packets at the same time to the network, to all the hosts. So that is called as your broadcasting routing. So when we are discussing about the broadcasting, it means that broadcasting is sending data packets to the multiple recipients all at a once. At a one time only we are sending the data, right? So for instance, if you see that for the lab, or you say the local area network can be configured to the any device of the network and broadcast a message to the all the others. So we are using the broadcasting routing here. Now, when we are talking about the broadcasting routing, we see that when a network device wants to broadcast, it transmits a data packet to the network broadcast address, and the network hardware, what the network hardware, we means that the routers or the switches, they just send the packet to every devices in the group. Now, the group of the eligible devices, you can say, is called a broadcast domain. So simple, what we have to keep in mind in the broadcasting routing, that it means that sending a packet to all the hosts in a network at the same time is called the broadcasting, right? So when we are discussing the broadcasting or you say when we are discussing the broadcasting routing, it means that we are sending all the data to the computer at equally at one time only. It means that the type of communication is so called is all to all. That, for example, in the live show or in the streaming of the live show on the radio, we are just broadcasting the message and equally everyone is getting that message, right? So that is what it means, all to all, because every device can transmit a message simultaneously to every other devices. Now, various methods what we are following in the broadcasting are the multicast routing, reverse path forwarding, and the flooding. Now, when we are talking about the multicast routing involves the sending the same, you can say same packets, or you can say the same packets to the many endpoints. In the diagram, if you see that here in the multicast routing, here the sender is what the sender is saying. It is for these are the various, you say, the routers. Okay, what we are doing, the sender is just sending the message, and with these packets, they are forwarded by the routers equally, and you say that it is casted, right? So when we are, if you are doing the video conferencing, when in colleges or in the meetings, we always use the video conferencing. In what we are doing in the video conferencing, operating in what or the audio chat facility, just we are broadcasting to everyone at simultaneously at the same time, right? So all the routers are capable of managing the multicast routing, and it is relatively a simple task to set up the capability, if you say. So you should remember, for the multicast routing, there is only one line, that multicasting routing involves sending the same message to the main endpoints. And if you see the practical application in the video conferencing, or when we are doing a WhatsApp call, a group call, or you can say a chat, if facilities, audio chat facilities available, simultaneously it is broadcasted to everyone, right? That is called as your multicast routing. So if when we are discussing about the advantages is the first one is your efficient bandwidth usage. It means that the multicast only sends data to receiver that have joined the group, right? Those who have joined the group, only the multicast is only sending data to that one. So it is reducing the unnecessary traffic because they are sending the data only to the persons who have joined the group, and it reduces the unnecessary traffic. When the traffic is reduced, you say that simultaneously our network bandwidth is saved, right? So that in the case of the video conferencing or the video streaming, right? When we do the online faculty development program, only you have got the link and that is broadcasted in, equally to you, those who have joined that conference or those who have joined that FDP. So here we use the multicast, right? For when we are saying the scalability, it means that it generates a single copy of the data regardless of how many receivers are present. For example, if I am delivering a lecture and my lecture is live stream, so the person who have joined this group is equally getting the data. Okay, they are equally getting the same data or same information from the sender side. In spite of that, how many receivers have joined are present, right? So that is the advantages of the multicast. Then it reduces the server and the client load. Why? Because they are just sending one stream to all the recipient, and it minimizes the CPU and the hardware demand on the server, right? Because you see, it only get benefited when they have joined a common link or common platform, then only they are getting a equal message, right? So when we are talking about the support real, it means that the time application. Now multicast is, if I am saying that multicast is ideally for the live data delivery or video conferencing, online gaming, and the stock updates or the weather forecast, so we use a multicast application, right? When we are talking about the disadvantages, it means that its configuration is complex, because when we are multicasting routing, it requires a specific network setup, right? Because if I want to, for example, when you are joining the FDP or something, faculty development program or some training program, the basic need is that you should have the Zoom should be installed on their mobile or on their laptop. So some specific network is you are setting, okay? Some support protocols of you are showing, then only you can join that group. So that is why the configuration complexity is there. Now the reliability issues. Since multicast is using the UDP as its transport protocol, offering the no guarantee delivery, right? If we are using the TCP, it will guarantee the guaranteed delivery, but we are using the UDP. That's why there is a reliability issues, because UDP mainly says that it does not provide your reliable delivery. Okay, so when the name comes that multicast is UDP, it means that there is a reliability issue in the system. Now, if there is a reliability, then also we can say that the security risk is also there. Why? Because any device joining the multicast group can receive the stream, so sensitive information can be shared, so that will be hamper our security. Okay, so they are the disadvantages of the multicast routing. So again, there is another disadvantage, that is your limited use in the small network. Since when we are doing the video conferencing or something, we are joining the meeting, so there is a small networks. Okay, so multicast, when we are working for the small network, when we are implementing the multicast, it is very unnecessary and uncomplicated, because it is working on a very large network, not in the small network, right? For the small network, we can use a unicast, or rather than the broadcast, or you can say the multicast. Now, for the it requires a application support. It means that only device and applications explicitly programmed for the multicast with benefit from it. Okay, so that is your required application support for the you say the multicast routing. So now, when we are talking about the methods of the broadcasting, there again part come as your reverse path forwarding. What do you mean by the reverse path forwarding, or you say the RPF? It is mainly used as a connection with the multicast routing protocol to build a loop-free shortest path. free, right? In this broadcast, in this method, what is we are doing? We are transmitted, the broadcast method is transmitted by the source, and if it arrives at the router normally checks the packet, right? First it is transmitted by the source, then if it arrives to the router, then the router, what the work of the router is checking the packet whether it is at the preferred path. If it is at the preferred path, then router send it on the best route path. So you see that a tree like structure is formed for the reverse path forwarding. You can see here the arrows are going right here. If it is in this diagram, if you see that packets are forwarded, right? These packets are, you see that it is forwarded, right? Now when we see that it is when it is, the router has been checked that whether it is preferred path or not. If it is selects that it is a preferred path, it means that it is sending the data to the best route path, right? So the main advantage of, you see the main advantages of the reverse path forwarding is that it is very efficient and it is very simple to implement. So to maintain the reverse path forwarding, what we do, we maintain the destination address by the router, and which is not required, because we are just simply, already the router has checked that they are going to a right track or not. If they are going to the right track, it's just provide the best path to that. Okay, so that is in the reverse path forwarding, you say. Now, when we are talking about the reverse path forwarding advantages, it means that it ensures a loop-free multicast forwarding, because it is not, it is just providing a path. The router is checking the path and then it is providing the most suitable path. So it means that it ensures the loop-free multicast forwarding. Now, the efficient duplication distribution by utilizing the optimal path and minimizing the unnecessary packets duplication. Now the third is, it is easy to implement and it does not require any significant changes, because simply the packets are checked by the router. So it is very easy to implement and maintain, right? So you see that it is very scalable for the large multicast network, and it is making deployment for the manageable as a network grow. So these are the advantages of the reverse path forwarding, or you say the RPF. When we are discussing about the disadvantages, it rely heavily on the accurate unicast routing table, because routers are checking the optimal path. When they are checking the packets and they are providing the best optimal path, it means that they are heavily rely on the unicast routing table. So if there is any mistake or changes in this table, it may lead to the valid packets being wrongly discarded, right? So that we have to keep in mind. For the strict RPF mode, it can cause packet losses in the network with the asymmetric routing, where return paths may differ from the outgoing path. It means they are not following the same path. When they are returning, they are not following the same path. So it is very complex to configure and it maintains a large, you can say it is very complex to configure, and to maintain this large table or large working environment, it is very complex to maintain it, right? So it does not, and the last disadvantage is that it does not always minimize the total number of the packets sent. It means that duplicate of the packet may occur, especially in the non-ideal topologies. If there is an ideal topology, we are following it, then you can say the duplicacy is not occurring. But when we are not following the ideal topology, what topology structure it has to be followed, and if they are not following it, it means that the duplicate packet may be still occur. So these are the disadvantages of the RPF. So the last method is, if I am discussing, it is a flooding. The flooding is a simple routing technique, if you see there, where each incoming packets at the router is sent to the every outgoing line except the one it arrived. For example, let us suppose that these, I am making it as a router, right? Let us suppose this diagram, and these are the routers I am taking at. And this is a source. Now, flooding says that whatever the packets are coming, you say they are equally thrown to the each router. They are the router. For example, A, B, C, D, E, F, I. Now, the source is sending every data or every packet equally to each router, you say, each network or each nodes in the network. And the source is not knowing from this node, the source is unable to find out from to which node exactly that message to be delivered. For example, in the class, if there is a 15 classes are there and one student is sitting there, and we are unable to find out where the one student is. So what we are doing, we are traveling to individually to each class. Once we have find out that that student has been sitting in the class 3, so every time the source will send the data to the class 3. Here also the source is sending the data, but it is unable to find out where it is. So it will travel to each node, and it will check that node needs the data or not. For example, if C says no, then it will travel. It is then R. It is checking to the D part. It is checking to the I. If I say that okay, I need that packet, it means that this whole packets has been delivered to the this I. But here what we are finding out, because of this method, the major disadvantage is that they are the duplicacy of the packet. Okay, so that is a major disadvantages of the you say of the flooding. But when we are talking about the advantages, it is very simple to set up and the implement, and it is extremely robust, and it ensures that all the connected roads are reached, so no node is missed in the broadcast method, and it always use the shortest path due to the spreading. But as I have discussed in the you can say the disadvantages of the flooding, if I am saying, the major disadvantage is that there is a duplicacy of the nodes. So insufficient when one destination needs the packet, but we are sending to the other destination also. Okay, that causes the network troubleshooting due to the packet duplication and the excessive traffic. So this is the all about the routing you can say routing algorithms, what we have discussed, the types of the various methods what we are implementing in the broadcasting routing. And we have also discussed that why we are using the hierarchical routing for the large networks. So thank you all, and we will meet in the another presentation.